Hi, my name's Jo Hadley, and this is my podcast, Being a Human Lighthouse. I was about to do my podcast this time last week when I realized my web host or web provider had erroneously deleted my website. I own two domains and I was requesting one to be deleted. And in a series of miscommunications, I lost both. I was initially super angry and upset. And I thought to myself, I have to do what I teach everyone else to do. And so I paused and just went into my body and just allowed myself to feel the anger and the upset about losing the connection to my business, that nobody would find me. And I have to say that within a minute, the intense sensations had disappeared. I still wasn't happy about the situation, but that whole anger and trigger of anger and wanting to be blamey or justify, I just settled down and was quite minor in the background. I surprised myself about how quickly it actually worked. David Hawkins often says that all you have to do is sit with the energy of the emotion and the solution looks after itself. So I did that. And even I was amazed at, within a minute, the intensity of the sensations had settled down. I still had no website, but I lost any ability or interest, I should say, in blaming or going backwards and forwards to the provider. It's like, I thought I was in the right, but that doesn't matter. He had he wasn't going to get my website back. So I thought, what's the point? I've stated I wasn't happy. I've left and found a new provider, but I still had to build a new website. So I have hastily put together a new one. The other issue I had was I was unable to move immediately because there's a rule that you can't move or change a domain within 60 days of another change. So I just updated my address. So I was unable to take and just transfer johadley.online. So the second issue was I had to change the whole identity of my site. And luckily, I had two domains that I owned. The other one was the johadley.com that was more associated with my past physio work. And that's the one I wanted to get rid of. I didn't think I needed anymore. But luckily, I still owned it and I could transfer that one immediately. So I've hastily put together a brand new website in 1 week. So I'm quite proud of myself. And because this podcast and my posts are more about how I put into practice the tools and the principles that I teach others and help others to use, because we're all human, we're all walking along the same path. It's my belief that each one of us has this perfect part of ourselves, our true essence, our soul that knows all our potentials, the perfect direction we need to go, what we need to do, who we need to meet, how we heal ourselves. Everything is inherently within this true version of ourselves, our soul version. But we have had access to that covered over for eons as humans. We've collected a lot of collective terrible energy that's stuck to our systems collectively and individually. We get it passed down from our ancestors, and also it's the things that happen to us in this particular lifetime. So I believe that humanity as a whole is just evolving. We're now reaching a point where we scientifically and intuitively understand that it's these unintegrated emotions and patterns and traumas and faulty belief that is blocking access to our own wisdom. It's blocking access to the optimal alignment, which helps create our optimal health. It blocks and changes how we function and relate to other people, our perceptions. So by changing our level of consciousness, it rises as we let go of all these faulty beliefs, the traumas, the emotions that no longer serve us. As we let these go, what's left is this true version of ourselves. It's not that we have to find it, it's already within us, it's just covered over. In the past, I've written and possibly even talked about a story that always captured my imagination. I've recently read that it's a true story, but I don't know about that. That there was a group of Buddhists that had golden Buddha statues. And when they heard they were about to be invaded, they covered them up with like clay or mud to protect them. And because that tribe or group of people had been wiped out eventually over generations, everyone forgot that there were golden Buddhas underneath all that clay and mud. Until one day, a crack appeared, and the golden inner being could be seen. And that, for me, is like an analogy for all of us humans, not just me. And as we walk further along this path of letting go of emotions, changing our beliefs, increasing our level of consciousness, which is all energy and vibration. So it's all quantum mechanics, quantum physics. We don't have to understand that or know that to walk this path, but it's my passion to be able to explain and understand what's going on, to explain and understand it easily to others, so I can walk this path much more consciously and with purpose. But people can walk this path and not even understand about consciousness. It just evolves. It happens, but sometimes if we have a conscious intention or we understand what's happening, we can actually allow this process to accelerate and we can progress further in a shorter time. But it doesn't matter. Eventually, we'll all get to the same place, which is, in my humble opinion, I describe it as Buddha consciousness, Christ consciousness, where we're all understanding and living from our heart, which is being shown scientifically to be the area that controls the body way more than the brain. As with the gut brain, there is a heart brain, and more nerves go from the heart to the brain than that brain to the heart, just like with the gut. And the heart has an electromagnetic field that is the most powerful in the body. It extends 1.5 meters, 3 feet around the body. So it actually is more powerful than the electromagnetic field around the brain. And it also determines what all the cells, including the brain, and how they're functioning. We call this heart coherent pattern. Our smart watches that measure our stress levels are measuring this heart rate variability, which measures this capacity of the heart. It also correlates to the chronic stress state, because if we're chronically stressed, we have an incoherent heart rhythm, and the electromagnetics negatively impact the cells in our body. When we're in heart coherence, it allows all the cells in our body, including our brain, to be in an optimal state. The nervous system is in what we call the rest and digest healing state. It's supposed to be the state that we're in most of the time. And it's from this state that we access our potential to heal, to feel peace, to feel joy. So going back to my story, I have talked about and written about many times over the last year how I've been in, or was in, a long, dark year of the soul rather than a dark night of the soul. So many things happened. And in the past 3 months, I feel like I am starting to just settle again, reestablish, create myself anew. after having a year of everything being washed away. So the irony is, just when I think everything's settling down, my website disappears. Not just down and I can take what I lost and re-put it back on. No, it's completely wiped and gone, which means I have to start everything from the beginning. And the irony of this was not lost on me. The fact that this entire year has been about erasing my old concepts of myself, letting go of all these past identities so that I can allow the new to emerge and to be created. It's really easy to get attached to our identities of who we are because that's who we've been. It's kept us safe. It's what we've known. It gives us like a little stake to put in the earth so we know where we are. And I've often talked about and written about in the last year how I felt like I'd been dumped in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with nothing to drive a stake in anywhere to get a fixed place, to feel like I just didn't know which direction I was going in, to feel like I was just surrounded by this immense sea of uncertainty and potentially infinite possibility. I was stressed because I just didn't know which direction to swim in. All I knew is everything had been washed away or was in the process of being washed away. So I find it humorous almost that this website was washed away. And I thought, wow, I've been creating it to try and create this new identity, to step into who I am becoming. I thought this website reflected that, but I am going to take this and make the meaning out of this, that perhaps the universe wants me to upgrade yet again. And that maybe that website was from an older consciousness when I created it. And I need to create the new one from a new level of consciousness because consciousness is energy and it radiates out. How we get attracted and is how we resonate with other practitioners, with what they say, with what they do. We often get attracted to the practitioners that resonate with us and our level of consciousness and frequency. So I think I've had an upgrade. So it will be interesting to see how that changes with the new clients that I will attract because they resonate with my new work and who I am now. And I've given myself a pat on the back and been very compassionate with myself as this happened. I did feel like a sense of overwhelm at times, but not as great as the tsunami type sensations of overwhelm that I've had at various times in this past 12 months. The fact that I managed to just turn it over to my heart and to my higher self. I do know that there have been moments where my ego and my controlling pattern have taken over. I almost thought I had ruined my new website today because my ego pattern, there's a little controller pattern that just likes to keep going and keep doing and keep building. It gets stressed, so it has to keep doing things. And I made a few errors and didn't know how to change them because I'm definitely no tech wizard. And I knew that I thought, well, if anything goes wrong, it's because I'm working from my little controlling pattern. It wants to control what's going on. But I'll go back a little bit and just say that, yeah, last Sunday I was devastated. But I let it go for about 24 hours and thought, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to tune into my heart and just thought, well, if the universe and my higher self doesn't want this website, it can guide me to create a new one. And it can guide me to what I need to write and say and what I need to resonate to attract the clients who need to hear what I need to say. Quite quickly, I found a new host provider. And I remember thinking, wow, how it is when it really works smoothly when you just let go and let God. But then, of course, I come up with my little resistor pattern. So I've had a few little hurdles to overcome since thinking that I'd solved it so easily. I've had a couple of challenges, but I'm aware that it is also to do with this little sensation of overwhelm, this pattern, this little controller that wants to control everything. I've noticed I haven't slept as well because my mind was going. It wanted to get back and finish off the work because it had to be done. It had to be done. And I make fun of this little pattern in a compassionate way. It's because I see it, and I see it's so dreadfully hard that it's working to try and correct everything, to make everything right, to fix everything. So I'm seeing it. I know this pattern has been deeply embedded, and I've had trouble really getting the roots of it out because I think it's been there since birth, before birth. And knowing the theory and what happens with trauma and a disconnect from the people around you. Because my mother having postnatal depression, probably depressed while I was in the womb, and suffered a lot of depression untreated and undiagnosed for my first 11 or 12 years. That's going to create a few patterns. So I would say these patterns have been ingrained since embryonic form. So it takes a little bit of time to see them. And I have seen it. I have been even frustrated that I see it and it hasn't left, but it's definitely a lot less. So I know there's progress. And as I would tell everyone else, that progress doesn't always happen instantly. It can just be this slow unraveling, especially as if you don't have anything to fill up the vacuum. You have to know how to fill the vacuum and be ready to fill the vacuum when that goes. You have to know how to fill it up with and allow that higher self to fill it up with something that is close to it, not just replaced by another pattern run by the ego and the mind. So I'm aware that this pattern has changed. And I'm also noticed in the past week how it's been there. Not as intense as before, but still wanting desperately to fix the situation. So while I'd love to say that I was perfect in my letting go and letting God, letting my heart solve the problem, there has been a little bit of influence from my old patterns. And as I said, I've rushed to get this website back up and running. The next issue I have is like all my flyers and my branding has a different website. So I've got a few other challenges to overcome yet before I really hone in and try and change the website too much more. But because I am using this podcast, using my posts to show how I put into practice the tools that I do, I thought this was quite a profound experience to share. I know that I've made a lot of progress because the Joe from many years ago probably would have carried on and felt very self-pitying about what had happened and been very angry and possibly even written a few not very pleasant emails. There were some terse emails expressing my displeasure, but I also knew that there was possibly no one person, and it doesn't matter. If someone made a mistake, and humans make mistakes, I make mistakes, that perhaps this was just the message or the messenger for me to change website. Because I have this pattern that when things are easy, even if I'm not that happy with them, I'll just stick with the same old, same old. I actually wasn't that happy with this website or the website provider, but I was not going to change because it would have been too much effort. I just would have stayed the same. So the universe has to sometimes knock me out of my comfort zone. It's clearly still a pattern I have. And it's interesting that with my last physiotherapy job, the same thing happened. I was going to stay in a job that I really was unhappy about, that I could tell was possibly not great for my long-term health. But then the universe came up and knocked me out of that lane. And I can't get cranky because I know that I wasn't happy, that I secretly wanted change. It's just that my pattern likes to be comfortable. The universe doesn't care too much about my comfort. And in fact, I've been learning to embrace discomfort. And so I was super proud that by tuning into the sensation of my body, by tuning into that anger and that disbelief and that overwhelm, that they actually dissipated into something more calm and peaceful. So it just allowed me to get on with the job and create something new and let the past go. I was also reminded that the people at the other end who I feel made a mistake, I make mistakes, so people do make mistakes. And it's really tricky in this new world that we have where everything is done online. And now with the introduction of AI, when you're talking to the machine a lot of the time. So it's really hard for communication if you're not face to face with someone and it's back and forth with emails or texts. Just ripe for miscommunication. So I'm going to finish off this podcast this week by just doing my meditation that helps us tune in to ourselves, try to access our heart center, connect to the source energy, and connect to the energy of the earth. Because I see humans as being this bridge between the source energy that's all around us and the energy of the earth or Gaia. And the earth that gives us, via the four elements, all that we need to create this physical existence. Yet, the more I learn, we are a soul or a spirit that has a body rather than a body that has a soul. And I was listening to, I think it was a talk from David Clements saying that what we are as humans is like 1% of what we actually are as a spirit. But I would say 1% is probably way too big a number. But who can measure the infinite? So if you'd like to do this meditation, I just invite you first to tune in. How are you feeling? Are you feeling relaxed? Are you feeling stressed? Just make a note of how you feel before you start. And we'll see if there's any change in your energy levels in the 5 to 10 minutes after this mini meditation. So I invite you just to sit down or lie down. Allow yourself to be present. Allow yourself to be. We are human beings, not human doings. So this next 10 minutes will be an invitation for you to be with yourself. So sitting or lying down, you can close your eyes if that's comfortable. And just feel how you're supported by the chair or the bed or the couch that you're on. Just notice how the physical world is supporting you right now. Notice that you're safe. Just being supported by the chair or the surface you're lying on. Feel how your body connects to the surface you're sitting or lying on. Feel your feet on the floor. If you like, you can imagine you've got roots growing from the center of your feet to the center of the earth, really grounding you and connecting you to the earth that provides us with all we need while we live here as humans. The earth that recycles everything that we let go of. And now I invite you to become aware of the crown of your head. And just imagine that you've got this cord attaching from the crown of your head to the center of the universe. That you're connected to the earth below and to the infinite expanse of the universe above. The all that is, the source energy. Now, if it calls to you, you can gently place your hands or fingers on your heart center. Start some low, slow breaths in and out, imagining it's going in through it, the heart center. As you breathe in, just imagine every cell is lighting up with love, joy, peace, wisdom. And as you breathe out, you're letting go of everything you no longer need. You're recycling it, all the toxic waste and energies back to be recycled. Breathe in through the heart center, filling up every cell in your body with light, love, information, peace, joy. See how your every cell radiates with this light. And then as you breathe out, let go of everything you no longer need. Knowing that the breath is how the infinite source communicates with the physical aspects of the body. And within your body, the two separate areas, the source and the earth, combine. Just again, breathing in and out through the heart center, feeling that light fill up every cell in your body. And just letting whatever is no longer needed go. Just have a scan through your body and just become aware if there's any sensations wanting your attention. There may not be. Or maybe there's an area that you feel is numb and you can't access. That's okay. Just allow it to be numb. Maybe there are pleasant or neutral sensations. Just observe them. And if there are unpleasant sensations, don't try to change them. Stay with them. Just allow them to be there. Just know that this is your body and your inner wisdom wanting to communicate with you. So just know you're safe. Keep breathing in and out through your heart area. And just observe and be curious about anything unpleasant. The sensations may change, or they may not. You may get insights, or you may not. It will unfold how it is meant to unfold for you at this moment. Just keep being mindful and observant and witnessing the sensations that you feel in your body. Knowing that you're in control. And if it becomes overwhelming or too much, you can simply open your eyes and tune into your 5 senses. Now I'm going to ask you to shift your awareness back to your heart center and to your breathing. Again, I want you to imagine you're breathing in and out through your heart center, filling up every cell in your body with light, love, wisdom, joy, peace. Feel that light and love going into every area that you just let go. It's filling up and replacing and replenishing all those areas and toxins that you just let go of and breathed out. Now I invite you just to imagine what it would feel like if you were living your optimal life, connected to your heart, connected to your soul, doing what brings you the greatest joy. Can you even get a glimpse of what it would feel like to live in joy and harmony with yourself and all around you? Even just getting a tiny taste is enough to change. This is the direction that you want your heart to take you in. So at the end of that journey, how much joy would you feel? How much peace would you feel? How much love would you feel? Who would you be? Maybe you're getting some intuitive insights into actions to take or things that you might do. But it's more important that you know that if you want to be the optimal version of yourself, to know how that would feel when you get there. So how would it feel to be in alignment and in harmony and balance with yourself and everyone around you? How great would that feel? Can you imagine what you would do? Can you imagine where in your body you would feel it? Just take a moment to tune in, to imagine what it would be like to live in alignment with your higher self and your soul. And as this mini meditation draws to a close, just invite you to bring your attention back to the chair or the bed that you're lying on. Feel your feet. You can wiggle your toes, move your arms, give a bit of a wiggle. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I invite you to tune into your body and just notice, is there any difference between the start of the meditation and now at the end of the meditation? Perhaps there's a sense of lightness. Perhaps you've had some intuition, some guidance, some insight. Perhaps an issue has bubbled up to be experienced and observed and witnessed and felt. Maybe you feel lighter. Maybe nothing happened. And as I close this for another week, I invite you to leave a comment if you've noticed any changes. And until next week, I wish you only love and peace and joy.